Story 1. Helped a random teen pick a gift for his dad. Didn't expect what happened next. A few weeks ago, I, 22F, wandered into a local bookstore just to clear my head. No plan, just needed a quiet place and the comfort of flipping through random pages. While I was browsing, I noticed a teenage kid pacing near the gifts for dad table. He looked super unsure, holding a mug that said "World's okayest dad" like it was either the best or worst decision of his life. I made a light joke, something like "bold choice," and he laughed, then admitted he had no idea what he was doing. He said his dad doesn't really do birthdays, but they'd recently started talking again after a rough few years, and he wanted to make an effort. So, we spent maybe 20 minutes walking around, just chatting. He eventually picked out a leather journal and a nice pen. He writes sometimes, he said. Maybe this'll feel personal without being, cheesy. I wished him luck, he thanked me, and I assumed that was that. Fast forward to this past weekend. I was in line at a little street fair when someone tapped my shoulder. It was him. He smiled and said, "You helped me find that journal." He told me his dad actually teared up when he got it. Turns out, he's been writing little letters to his son in it. They've started taking walks together once a week, talking more, just trying. It's awkward, but real. He never would have done that if I'd gone with the mug, he said, laughing. I walked into that store for a quiet moment and accidentally helped a stranger reconnect with his dad. Life is weird. But in a good way. Story 2. My parents own a multimillion-dollar waste management company, and I've been working as the lowest guy on the crew without telling anyone who I am. I'm 22, just graduated from college a few months ago. While my classmates were polishing resumes and stressing over interviews, my parents sat me down and made it clear I wouldn't be job hunting. I'd be working for them. They run a massive waste management company like citywide contracts, fleet of trucks, recycling centers, the whole deal. It's their legacy, and they want me to take over someday. But they also made it clear I wouldn't be jumping into some cushy office role with a fancy title. If I was going to lead the company, I had to understand it from the ground up. Fair enough. I actually respected that. So I started at the very bottom. One day I was on a truck hauling trash bins in the rain. The next I was elbow deep in recyclables at the sorting center. I never told anyone who I was. I wore the same uniform, followed the same schedule, and showed up like every other new guy. I wanted real experience. No special treatment, no shortcuts. At first, it was fine. Humbling, even. I started to respect the people who do this every day in ways I couldn't before. They're tough. They work hard. But after a while, the vibe started to shift. I was doing more and more of the grunt work while others kicked back. I was told to straighten out the bins, clean up after others, do the new guy stuff constantly. I didn't complain. I kept my head down. I figured it was part of paying dues. But then came the day that broke me. It was raining hard, and we were already short-staffed. I barely slept the night before, showed up exhausted, and got drenched within the first hour. My clothes were soaked. I was cold and running on fumes. Still, I pushed through most of the shift until one of the senior guys, Ron, decided he was done. He dumped the rest of his tasks on me and said, "You're the new guy, you handle it." I got to leave early. I snapped. Politely, but firmly, I told him no, I wasn't doing his work. I was done letting people pile on just because they outranked me. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Then, with a smirk, he said, "Careful. Management might not like it if I start talking about your attitude." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Then let's go to management right now." He blinked. Didn't say another word. Just walked off. That was the first time I've ever stood up for myself like that at work. I didn't play the "I'm the owner's son" card. I still haven't. But I'm starting to realize, being the boss's kid doesn't mean I have to accept being walked over to prove I'm humble. I'm here to learn not to be everyone's personal doormat. Story 3. I got a random wrong number text at 1 a.m. I answered. A year later, I was in their wedding. A little over a year ago, I got a text at 1:04 a.m. Is the green one better or the gold one? PLS answer fast. No name. No context. Just that I was half asleep, but something about it made me laugh. I replied, "Green. Always go with the green one." 2 minutes later. "Okay, thank you. I'm freaking out. I think I love him. And IDK if this is a date? It's like a maybe date." I didn't have the heart to say wrong number, so I just said, "Then wear the green. Look good. Feel better. And maybe date the hell out of it." She texted back, "You're literally a stranger, but I love you. Thank you. Green heart." And that was it. Or so I thought, because a week later, she texted again. Green was the right call. It was a date. His name's Eli. He smelled like cedar and stress. And I, some random dude who never said she had the wrong number, texted back, and we just kept texting. Every few days. Then every day. For months. She never asked who I was. I never told her. It became this anonymous thread of support. When things went well, she'd send me updates. When things went badly, I'd hype her up like I was her invisible best friend in the walls. Eventually, she named me Text Goblin. Then, one night in November, she sent this. "Okay, Goblin." I told him I love him. And he said it back. "I'm so scared. I feel like my heart is too big and soft for this world." I texted back something dumb, like, "He's lucky to have you." And green was still the right choice. Then I didn't hear from her for 2 months. I thought it was over. Until January. "I found out who you are." I froze. "You used your real Spotify once. That's how I found your playlist. Then your profile." My heart dropped. I'm not mad. I actually have a question. Will you come to my wedding? As my text goblin. And that's how I ended up flying to Arizona last month, standing in a room full of strangers, watching a woman I've never met walk down the aisle, wearing a green ribbon in her hair, and winking at me from across the crowd. We hugged after. She whispered, "Thank you for picking green." And I said, "It was always green." I do totally apologize because I forgot her real name because I was so mesmerized by chaotic possible chances in the whole world. Still saved in my phone as possibly chaos. Life is weird. But sometimes weird is kind. Story 4. My boyfriend called me a store brand cereal during an argument. I haven't looked at cereal the same since. So my boyfriend of 1 year and I got into a weird argument the other day during breakfast. It wasn't even that serious, at first. I simply asked him why he doesn't show a little appreciation during the day, like a basic thinking of you text while he's at work. You'd think his response would be something halfway normal. Maybe an apology. Maybe reassurance. But no. This man looks me dead in the eye and goes, "You're acting like you're important and premium when you're really more like a store brand cereal." I froze. In that moment, my soul left my body. My jaw landed somewhere on the floor. I said, "What did you just say?" He just shrugged and said, "I said what I said." And that was it. No backtracking. No laughing. No, I was kidding. Just pure, unfiltered slander. Now, every time I walk into a grocery store, I get haunted by my trauma. I can't look at the cereal aisle without having war flashbacks. So yeah, I'm genuinely reconsidering the relationship. Because maybe he's the one who's expired. Maybe I should become the milk that drowns him. Neutral face. Story 5. My husband's bowels staged a coup after he tried to eat clean for 3 whole days. Venting. You know how some couples bond by working out together? Or meal prepping? Or doing morning walks? My husband and I bond by playing daily games of what new food item will betray his digestive system today. This week's installment began when my husband, 40M, decided he wanted to clean up his gut. Now, this is the same man who once deep-fried a Pop-Tart because he wanted to experiment. The same man who thought taking a fiber supplement and eating 20 chicken wings was balance. So when he suddenly started Googling things like gut health and low FODMAP recipes, I got nervous. Real nervous. For 3 days straight, he only ate boiled veggies, brown rice, and something that vaguely resembled tofu but had the texture of a wet Band-Aid. Then he added a Kia smoothie. Because why not throw a gallon of jelly seeds into a system already on strike? Fast forward to night 3, we're in bed. I'm half asleep. He turns to me and says, "Babe, my insides feel like they're gentrifying." I ask what that even means. He responds by letting out a fart so long and complex it could have been an orchestral overture. I'm talking crescendo, movement changes, and a final brass section that set off the carbon monoxide detector. I left the room. The dog left the room. Even Alexa asked if we wanted to call emergency services. The next day, he started clutching his side like he was in a Shakespeare play and announced that he might have a twisted colon. Not a real diagnosis. Just vibes. So he goes to the gastroenterologist, and after several tests, scans, and what I assume was a high-stakes round of name that smell, they confirm IBS. With lactose intolerance. And mild food sensitivity to everything he loves. Great. He comes home looking like he lost a custody battle with his own colon. But instead of being careful, he takes the new list of safe foods and decides that moderation is just a polite suggestion. He eats an entire tub of hummus, half a watermelon, and what I'm pretty sure was 3 servings of Brussels sprouts. All in one sitting. Like a goat. That night, he transformed into a sentient whoopee cushion. I had to Google how to safely open windows during a storm just to survive. At one point I honestly thought the walls were breathing. And then came the great yogurt incident. I told him, kindly, to avoid dairy. He nodded. Smiled. Said I got this. Then I found him in the kitchen at 2 a.m., double-fisting Greek yogurt and shredded cheddar cheese like some kind of protein goblin. He looked me in the eyes and said, "The probiotics cancel the dairy." That's not how science works. That's not how anything works. Long story short, he's now grounded from unsupervised grocery shopping. I've removed all dairy from the house, and he's only allowed to have tofu if I'm watching. Also, the dog still won't sleep in our room. He has PTSD from last Thursday's cheddar hurricane. Marriage is beautiful. But sometimes it smells like death and poor decisions. Story 6. I thought my upstairs neighbor hated me, then I found the note. I live on the 2nd floor of a 3-story apartment building, aka the anxiety sandwich zone. Every sound from above or below feels like it's happening inside my skull. For the longest time, I thought my upstairs neighbor hated me. Not for anything I did. Just, in general. She moved in during the pandemic. Never said hi. Wore big headphones. Dropped things constantly. I'd hear random thuds at 3 a.m., like someone losing a Jenga match in slow motion. Once, something rolled across her floor for a full 30 seconds. Who rolls something for that long? What was it? A bowling ball? A watermelon? Anyway, a few weeks in, I started leaving my shoes at the door and walking in socks. Just in case she could hear me. I turned my music down. Started closing cabinets more gently. I even felt guilty sneezing too loud. Which is wild, imagine apologizing for sneezing in your own apartment. And then the worst thing happened. One night I accidentally dropped a full glass of water in the kitchen. Loud crash. Glass everywhere. I cleaned it up fast, but I was convinced she'd come downstairs and yell. Or file a noise complaint. Or both. But instead, the next morning, I found a post-it stuck to my door. Yellow, slightly crumpled, handwriting like a teacher's. "Hey, hope you're okay. I heard a crash last night. Just wanted to check in. I drop stuff all the time too. No judgment, smiling face, apt 3C. Reader, I melted. This woman I'd invented an entire villain arc for was just me, but 1 floor up. Later that week, I baked banana muffins, box mix, let's not pretend I'm a hero, and left some in front of her door with a note, "From your equally clumsy neighbor." She sent me a voice note later. "These are amazing. Also, I'm pretty sure the rolling sound you heard last week was a cantaloupe." Long story. Now we talk occasionally. Trade leftovers. Send each other memes. Still haven't met in person, but somehow it feels like I've made a friend, just through walls and floorboards and scribbled notes. And yeah, she still drops things at 3 a.m. But now, I just laugh and think, same, girl. Same. Story 7. Guy's card declined before the storm. I couldn't let his kid leave empty-handed. Publix was packed today, everyone panic buying for the hurricane. I'm in line with my wife when I notice a dad and his daughter at the register. His card wasn't going through. He kept checking his phone like maybe the money would magically appear. You could see he was embarrassed. His daughter was just quietly watching it all. Eventually the cashier calls the manager, they void the transaction, and the two of them start walking out, no groceries, just that heavy kind of silence. I couldn't watch that. Told my wife, I got to do something, and slipped out of line. I asked the manager, was it a payment issue? I'll take care of it. She nodded. I caught the guy right before he hit the door. Hey man, come back in. Let me get that for you. He looked stunned. Like I'd offered him $1 million and a nap. They'd already started putting his groceries back, so I asked the staff to hold off and swiped my card. $63 and some change. Totally worth it. He tried to pay me back with a few bucks. I said no. He hugged me. A real, tight, grateful hug. His daughter gave me a shy smile like I just handed her a puppy. My wife. Crying in the parking lot. We talk about being decent people. That was my shot. I'm glad I took it. Be that person when the moment comes. Someone might just need their faith in people restored. Story 8. I've been stealing my neighbor's Wi-Fi for 6 months and then they renamed it after me. It started when my internet died during a Zoom meeting. I was presenting quarterly reports and suddenly, frozen screen. Panic mode. I clicked on the Wi-Fi icon on my laptop and saw all these networks. Pretty fly 4A WiFi. No lock symbol next to it. I clicked it, and it connected right away. I figured anyone who names their Wi-Fi that has to be pretty chill. The meeting went fine. I meant to call my provider that afternoon, but then I forgot. And their internet was actually faster than mine ever was. YouTube videos started instantly, no buffering wheel. My old connection always had that annoying delay. Weeks went by. Then months. Every morning my laptop just connected automatically. I'd see that network name and smile. Whoever this neighbor was, they had good taste in puns. Last week I was checking my phone at the coffee shop when I noticed the Wi-Fi list. Pretty fly for a WiFi was gone. Instead, oh hi Coffeecat 99. I nearly dropped my latte. Coffeecat 99. That's what I use on some games, chats and so on. My stomach did this weird thing. How could they possibly know that was me? I don't understand any of this computer stuff. But can Wi-Fi track who you are? Can they see my screen? Oh God, can they see which apartment the signal goes to? The worst part is they're clearly still offering it. Oh hi, like oh hi, specifically to Coffeecat 99. Which means they know it's me and they're fine with it. But also means they've been able to see. What exactly? I don't even know which neighbor it is. Could be anyone in the building. The signal's strong enough from multiple floors. I called my internet company that same day. Turns out my service had never been cancelled. Just some wire issue they forgot to fix. It's working again now, but every time I open my laptop I see oh hi Coffeecat 99 in the network list. Yesterday I left nice coffee beans outside every door on my floor with sticky notes. From a grateful neighbor, smiley face. If they figured out I'm Coffeecat 99, they'll probably figure out the coffee is from me. If not, at least everyone gets free coffee. I still have no idea how they knew. Part of me wants to Google it, but honestly, they could have just turned on a password anytime in those 6 months. They didn't. This morning I saw oh hi Coffeecat 99 flash on my screen again when I opened my laptop. This time, I just smiled. Story 9. I accidentally eavesdropped on a first date that felt like watching a dreamer trying to spark life into a brick wall. Non-fiction. I was at a restaurant just outside Boston Mid-Range, nothing fancy, but nice enough for a date. I was early. My friend, running late. So I had about 20 minutes of solo time at my table. Next to me, in the same booth but technically a separate table, sat a young couple who looked to be in their mid-20s. They arrived a minute after I did. Across from me, and to my left, sat a man, heavyset, pale, with a bright red beard and the posture of someone either very tired or permanently unimpressed. Across from him, beside me, sat a young woman with expressive eyes, neat makeup, and a polite energy that I could feel even from my seat. It was clearly a first date. She smiled. He grunted. She talked. He sipped a whiskey cocktail. She ordered a wine, asked for it to come with her meal, but they brought it early. She laughed and thanked the server anyway. And then, the conversation started. At first, it was small talk, the kind where one person tries to make it work and the other seems to be calculating how long is polite before leaving. I started jotting things down, not with judgment, but curiosity. I do this sometimes when alone in public, like sketching, but with words. A habit from long subway rides and solo lunches. She admitted this was her first app date. He said he'd been on a lot. Silence. She asked him if he wanted to know anything about her. He responded, "Sure. Like what?" She tried again, asked about plumbing. He said he was a journeyman but that there's no difference, really. She tried to relate, "I went to school for 4 years for my job. I always admired people who just dove into work." He said he had a degree in communications. She blinked. "Oh, that's cool. Surprising, but cool." He said nothing. She confessed she gets nervous on dates and talks too much. Invited him to jump in. He told her, "You're fine." She asked if he'd always lived nearby. He said, "Whole life." She launched into a story she grew up on a houseboat. Her parents studied whales. Like George on Seinfeld, but real. She smiled, looking for a connection. He asked if you can eat whales. She paused. No. She asked if he was okay. Offered to reschedule if it wasn't a good night. He said, "You're fine." She laughed nervously, tried to bridge again. "I actually studied physics. Minored in music so I wouldn't forget piano. Took a year to just play, never looked back." He cut in, "What kind of money you make doing that?" She blinked. "Sorry." He repeated the question. She dodged politely, "It varies." He nodded. "That's what I figured." She asked about Netflix. He studied the menu. She asked if anything looked good. He said, "Not really. Might just ask for a regular burger." She apologized, said she should have checked if he liked seafood. He said, "I do. It's just overpriced." She replied, "Oh, I wasn't expecting you to pay." He grinned. "So you're paying? Cool, maybe I'll get something else." She laughed, waiting for him to laugh back. He didn't. "Oh, you were joking, right?" He stared. "What joke?" She quietly decided to stick with the wine. He blamed the slow service. She asked about interests. He said, "Sports." She lit up. "Oh, what do you play?" He said he used to play in high school. "Could have gone pro if I wanted." She asked, "What else?" She offered a fun one, desert island book choice. He frowned. "Never been to the desert. I don't really travel." She paused. Then said, "You know, I'm actually feeling off. I think I might have to call it a night." He shrugged. "Okay." She stood. "I'll go settle this at the bar." He nodded. "Okay." She looked down, hesitant, then said, "Well, have a good night." He waved her off. "Yeah. You too. This was chill. I'll text you." She walked out. He stayed. Ordered his burger. Ate the whole thing. I watched this quiet unraveling of a one-sided effort, a hopeful human trying to connect with a brick wall of indifference, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not because it was tragic or explosive, but because of how common it felt. It's like people aren't just bad at dating these days, they're bad at showing up. Like someone handed them a life and they're just dragging it around, not even curious about the person across the table. Of course, not everyone is like this. But I'm seeing it more especially among young men. They seem so unbothered, unmotivated, and disinterested in the people they're with, like they're just fulfilling a social quota. Maybe it's burnout. Maybe loneliness. Or maybe some people are just not meant to date. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for listening. I just needed to get this one out of my head. Story 10. I matched with my ex's older brother just to be petty. Accidentally got invited to family dinner. This literally just happened and I need to confess to the void. So my ex dumped me 4 months ago. Real casual. Real cool. Just a simple I think we want different things right after I baked him a lasagna that took me 3 hours and made his gamer roommates tell me I was wife material. I didn't even cry. I just said okay and went home and ate 3/4 of the backup lasagna in bed while rewatching Criminal Minds like a woman in crisis. Anyway, last week I was swiping around for no good reason and boom. There's his brother. Hot. There. Has a real job. Looked like he eats vegetables. So obviously I swiped right. Obviously. I wasn't expecting anything. I just wanted to feel like chaos. But we matched. He messaged first. Said he remembered me. Said I always brought weird snacks over and he liked my energy. I asked what kind of energy. He said dangerously charming in a way my brother never appreciated. So now I'm feral. We started texting. Then we hung out. He picked me up and actually opened the door for me, which felt illegal. He asked me questions like he was in an interview for a job called Not Being a Dick. I wore the same perfume I used to wear with my ex and pretended it wasn't intentional. It was intentional. We made out. A lot. I told myself it was